And then there was this moment, and I went, I don't think that came out the way I wanted it to.
No, it came out
And
exactly the way.
Perfectly.
Yeah, that's the way you need it.
Everybody howled.
Just can't change my emotions. Come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions.
Hello, companions.
Hello, companions. My name is Rebecca. I'm a producer here at The Companion and producer and co-fry of 3 Fries Short. Welcome to part 4 of Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom. I've got 2 co-hosts today for our conversation. You know him as the founder of The Companion and frequent event host, Lawrence Cal. Hi,
Hello.
Lauren. And she is my co-fry at 3 Fries Short and companion supporter extraordinaire, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hello.
And our guest today began her career at a very early age, dancing in musicals such as Bye Bye Birdie. She's voiced characters from Dragon Ball Z, Care Bears, and Barbie, among many others. And she can currently be seen in Virgin River as Muriel St. Clair. But folks, you know her best as our favorite Napoleonic powermonger, the one and only Dr. Janet Frasier from Stargate SG-1, Teryl Rothery. Hi, Teryl.
Woo!
Hello.
Whew. A quick other disclaimer before we hop into our conversation. As with previous parts of Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom, the conversation today is meant to be a check-in, a unifying moment, and a symbol of our support for each other. But it is no replacement for professional help. So if you or someone you know are in crisis, please visit. And I should have pulled this up and I didn't. Here we go. thecompanion.app/mental health for resources. There are options there for mostly anywhere on the planet. There are links to get you where you need to be. So please keep that in mind as we go through this conversation. Also keep in mind that you can get some questions or any quick stories in through the comments. Go ahead, start getting them in at any point. We're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to try to save some time for the end to answer some questions as well from you. But if you have something that's very appropriate to what we're talking about, go ahead and put it in there. We'll share it around. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Teryl, I was hoping that you could take us through a quick grounding exercise before we get going, if you had a moment to do that for us.
Oh gosh, yes, absolutely. Okay, so what I'd like us to do is just sit, close your eyes. We're going to close our eyes together. I'll take my glasses off. Okay. And just feel your body in the chair or wherever you may be. If you're lying down, just really get into the body, feel the body. Take some deep breaths in and exhale. And don't be afraid to make sound. It's all about finding our voice and using our voice. So we can also use that on the breath. So deep breath in and exhale. I need that myself. Good. Now, as we're sitting here in this quiet, continue with the breaths. I want you to just imagine that we're all standing in a circle. I don't know how many of us are present here today, nor does it matter. I just want you to imagine that we are in that circle. And I want you to place your hands open, palms up. Just imagine holding hands, and we're creating a chain, a circle chain holding each other's hands. You may or may not feel that pulsating in the palms, and if you don't, that is absolutely fine. But just really breathe into it and imagine that we are holding hands, all of us in a circle. All of us here for the same reason. all of us here to listen, to use our voice. There are no judgments. Complete and utter understanding and love and support. We are all one. And let's all set a common intention. You can set your own intention. I'll give you some time to set your own intention. What you're hoping to gain, what you're hoping to learn, how you can support others. So just take that time to set your own intention. Bringing our energies together. Bringing our presence together in this space and in this platform. And being open. Open to hearing. Open to love. And again, being open and supportive, knowing that we are all one. And just sit in this for a bit. And when we're ready, let's open our eyes and be present.
Thank you for that.
Whew.
Yeah.
How does
I don't know if you guys felt it, but it was amazing. It was just, oh, look at that. Look at that light coming in. Perfect timing.
Wow. That's 98 of us, I guess, all in that circle together,
Yep.
breathing together.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was
pretty amazing.
And it's just
that was
getting us
amazing.
all here, right? It's
Mhm.
focusing that energy into this place. I'm just going
Mhm.
to stand up and shut these lights because that light is going to spread. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm just muting the camera. Yes, I do have clothes on my bottom. People, I do. But you just never know.
You wouldn't be the first person
Yeah.
with us that
We have many
didn't,
guests that
so.
don't wear pants. So
Seriously.
that is a thing. I promise.
I can't even imagine who that might be.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
You know, Teryl, one thing that today I was reading a book, and you just talked about this exact moment and intention and the feeling. And I wrote some notes down. I was going to actually ask it at the very end. I'm going to ask it now because I think it's so
Sure.
relevant, which was, the only thing that is real is this exact moment. Nobody has ever gone back in time. No one has traveled into the future. And, I think we forget that sometimes, and it's our job to, kind of remember that. And I was wondering, what kind of tools or frameworks or, how do you think about that when sometimes we start drifting to past worries or future anxieties?
It's the thought, right? It's simply in the thoughts. We tapped a little bit, I think, on this. We certainly did, Rebecca, in our in the other meditation session we had. But we as humans have between 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. And the sad part of all of us, and it's what we do. We know, oh God, did I go? I have to go and get my kids such and such. Oh, I got to take so and so to this place. Oh, did I remember to? Did I turn the lights off? Why did I leave the house? Those constant thoughts? Usually we're thinking about where we are going to, where we have just come from. Like you say, it's always about projecting what's ahead and behind instead of just in the moment. The only thing we have, literally, if there were to be any control, because we don't have control except over how we respond, how we react in the moment. That is all we have. That's it, this moment. That's all we can really. And if we just allow ourselves when we're having that moment, which I have a lot of when I'm driving in my car, I have a very, very short temper and potty mouth when I drive. And the only thing that brings me back is going, why are you allowing yourself to get angry? Why are you allowing every foul word you can possibly imagine that doesn't make sense and yet it's all trailing out? Why do I want to do that? Because it just sets me. It's not going to get me where I need to be any faster. And then my head goes to, well, if you had only done such and such, why didn't you take the dog out earlier? Then you wouldn't be late. I can't control what I did. I can't control that I chose to take the dog out and took, you know what I mean? The only thing I have is this moment. And you know what? In the big scheme of things, if you're late, you're late. And if you're late, sometimes there's a reason you're late because the universe is getting involved, and perhaps you should be blessed and thankful that for that moment you're late, because it might mean that you've just missed an accident that you, if you were on time, you would have missed. You know what I'm saying? We have no control. We don't know. I'm covered in goosebumps. So that's all we have is being in that moment. And the only way to do it, like you say, Lawrence, is to just stop. That's all I have right now. You know? And it's like any muscle. It's just getting used to doing it and doing it and doing it until you actually do it, you know?
Yeah, we've been talking to kind of members earlier this week as well, and some of them are saying things like, I've tried meditation, but I'm not good at it, or those kind of things. And, you know, we were saying it's like a muscle or anything else. It's okay if your mind wanders. Don't be so hard on yourself if you start thinking about things. If you're trying meditation, the moment you realize that, you can bring yourself back, and that is the muscle, the meditation, the strength, you know, all of
It
a
is.
sudden. And so be kind to yourself. It's okay if your mind drifts. It happens to all of us.
On that note, I'm going to show you all my coffee cup. I don't know if you can read it.
That's right. Here we
Did I?
fucking
Is it
go
behind?
again.
Am I?
We can read that.
I
good
mean,
morning.
good morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and here we fucking go again. I mean, good morning. That's literally it. Let's see your mugs. Let's put our mugs up.
Oh yeah, we all have our.
Your mugs.
Yeah, this is the new tradition. I
Oh,
think now
look at-
we're going
I
to
love
have
Which, please?
mugs.
Cheers. Cheers.
I love
Coffee
it.
cheers,
Cheers.
everybody. Coffee cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
now I'm curious. Like, is there meaning to like Lawrence? Because I'm very mug dependent on my mood. I pick.
Oh yeah.
Like I kind of am curious now, Lawrence. Like why? What's your penguin?
This here is the penguin of death. There's a whole description about the penguin of death. There's two things you need to know about the penguin of death. One, he is strangely attractive because of his enigmatic smile. So, you know, he's almost like my spirit animal. Hopefully I'm attractive.
Oh.
I think so.
Oh, Lawrence.
And two, he can kill you in any one of 412 different ways. So he's dangerous, just like I am as well. So I am him and he is me. We are
love
the
that.
penguin
You
of death.
are one.
We are the penguin of death, yes. And then as I drink
I
it,
love
I don't know if you
that.
could see it, you get a little sunshine.
Oh,
So as I drink,
Oh.
I'm just like seeing sunshine like as I go. So
There you
that's my mug.
go.
love it.
My mug today.
Love
That
it.
is awesome. Rebecca,
Christina,
wait,
how
no,
about, how about your mug, Christina?
I was gonna say, where did the eggs come from? Which, please, is hysterical, Christina. I have
let's
to
go
say.
eggs.
But
And
you have
mine's not
eggs,
as,
right?
mine's
This
not as
is
fun. What's
this
the
is
eggs?
This is Gudetama. He's a lazy egg, and he's
Oh.
you know he's even got a bacon blanket. You know, he's one of
Oh.
those Sanrio characters. You know, just super cute. Yeah, that's all. I just love a lazy egg.
I
I
don't.
guess there's no more
I'm
meaning.
so you are a lazy egg. There
She is
you
a lazy
go.
egg. But like Rebecca, I feel like that's you in a nutshell sometimes because like for a lot of conversations that we have, like some of us will come with very deeper context, and you're like, I like it, and it's I'm like there's no meaning. I liked it, but that's the reason it connected to you.
Yep.
No, this is I'm in my villain era of life, but this is my work appropriate or just like appropriate mug to always have, because I'm learning boundary settings and really how to establish the absolutely not, say no, understand where I can say yes, and then just like move on. So yeah, that's my witch please, because I can't say bitch please on my work calls or anything that I'm doing. So witch please is my kind of way to kind of tap into the attitude and the like where I want to stay centered from when I approach shit that happens. So that's my witch please.
There you go.
I love
We've got
it.
lots of people loving mugs. Here's a comment from one of the members here. Mistress.
My mug
of the
states,
messy
mistress of the messy desk.
Love it.
Oh,
On
I
the
love
other
it.
side, I love that. Oh my God, I love it. Organized people are just lazy to look for things. Yes, yes, yes. That's a good one.
Yep.
Oh, I love how you guys can put that up too.
Yeah, it's great. Let's dive in with a question. I like this one. Okay. So I've heard from others that acting or even just acting and performance classes can help with self-confidence. And as we are talking about mental health, Lawrence and I have been talking about this a lot, that self-confidence and working on yourself and positive aspects of mental health, or working on yourself for the positive side of mental health, is really important too. So that's why we're kind of building in a little bit of the self-confidence sort of talk this time. But we've also heard that acting and performance, on the flip side, it can be immense pressure. So what's your experience been like?
Oh my God. It's both of those things. You know, really, I think if you're to sum it up, and I'll go into the acting part and the past, but if you're going to sum it up, the thing that is the only thing that's going to help us with our confidence, and there's nobody who does not go through the same thing. We all have it. And it's because we all have this innate fear of failure. We all have it. Oh my God, but if I do that, what if I fall on my face? What if I make an ass out of myself? What if? That's the problem. And that comes from this. It is mental mind. It is not going from within. The only way you're going to get over it is to fall. If you fear it, you know what I'm saying? The only way to get over it is to face it, do it. And that's how you start to learn the confidence, because all we can do is be the best version of us. So for me, I was, if any of you have ever read any of the various interviews over the years, was the most incredibly shy, I'm talking debilitatingly shy little girl. I remember if somebody tried to pull me away from my grandmother, and I'd hold on, like I remember holding on to her cardigan sweater, just terrified. And I was in such a little shell, except for my own world. I always created. I was always playing in my bedroom with dolls, but there was never just a normal Barbie kind of playing, Barbie dolls. It was a scenario. I always seemed to, even at a young age, beginning, middle, end, but that was how I was able to find that other side of me, find that other voice. And so as I started growing up and going to school, and my grandmother realizing, because I was a whole different person at home, I mean, she saw the other side of me, but how she decided to help me get me out of my shell was to put me into dance class. And I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. What if I don't know if I can do this. I mean, you just do it. And I kicked and screamed. I didn't want to go. What it gave me is that I found that, oh, I'm actually good at this. And not so much the performing part, but it was a way for me to come out and just be creative, for me to play with the music, for me to do whatever it was I was doing. And that then led to going on stage. I never thought I'd make it. I remember standing in the wings and being just terrified, and always, it's like you're so scared. Oh, I have to pee now. Oh, I think I might have to poop. I think I might have to poop. What if I diarrhea? Like I just going, what happens? And then the music hits, you hit the stage, the light would come on, and something happened. Something took over. And I wasn't doing it for them. I wasn't doing it for my adjudicator who was sitting in the front because these were different competitions. I did it for me. And it's like they disappeared and it was just me and the sound of music, me and my body doing. Then, you'd hear the applause. If there was applause in the adjudication, sometimes you'd hear a little bit, but then as soon as I'd get into the wings, I'd go, like, then I'd go back to this. But that's how I do it. We're not going to know what we're good at. You know what? You could suck at it. And who cares if you suck at it? Somebody's alarm is going. It's Lawrence's. Let's call him on that one.
Lawrence.
All right.
Wah. There you go, little penguin breath. You kind of left an alarm on, didn't you? Now I'm going to double check to make sure I don't pay back.
Everybody check their own.
Silence.
But
I
that's
heard
it.
nothing.
It's
I
just-
heard nothing.
But that's all it is. It's where does our confidence come from? Confidence comes from doing, but mostly just believing in ourselves. And as
Yeah.
long as we're happy, and if it's feeding our spirit, and if it's feeding our soul, and if it's bringing us joy, that's all we should care about, right?
Yeah.
I know when you're in the real world and you're putting in a paper, and if I just saw a thing go by, I'd love to
Yeah, the
address that
comments
one.
are going
Or
so
you're
fast that it's it's kind of hard to click on the right one. This one just
there you
kind of
go.
it made sense with what you were saying, that Carrie Fisher said,
Yeah.
"Stay afraid, but do it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
What's important
Yes.
is the action. You don't have to wait to be
Yeah.
confident. So
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Just do it, and eventually the confidence will follow. That is the absolute truth. Didn't not to be putting out labels out there, but I believe it was a running shoe company or a sports company that said, just do it. Just do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's the absolute truth. It doesn't mean there was a one that went in passing that it's just really hard. Of course it's hard. Nobody's saying it's not going to be hard. And sometimes it's so much easier to not bother doing it, because then we don't have to feel that. But then that's up to the individual. Do you want to stay there, or do you want to go and try something different? And that's, again, it's up to the individual. If it makes you happy to not do something that's going to make you sick to your stomach, then so be it. But if you know that what's on the other side of that is going to make you maybe even a little bit more happy, why not give it a try? And if it doesn't, you learn something.
Yeah.
And I think it's wonderful to even build your confidence that maybe you took baby steps to it. So if you're thinking about, like, for example, like trying dance class, let's just use that. Maybe you didn't get all the way in the door. Maybe you didn't get all the way there. But maybe you picked up the phone and you made an appointment. Or maybe you drove there and that's as far as you got. That's okay. You took baby steps. You did one thing further than you would have done before, and you can just keep going. So the confidence to take action, I think, should be recognized, because it's not just doing it doesn't always mean you get all the way there the first time you try. So you just keep going and be really proud that you tried. That's the confidence. You got yourself out there to some component, even if it wasn't the end goal.
I love that, Christina. Confidence in action. It's not the end result. It's just the action of doing.
Yeah. Here's okay. I'm going to try to click this without the comments moving before I can click the right one.
Right.
It's okay to be scared. Being scared means you're about to do something really, really brave. I think that's great.
I love that. I love that.
I could also add to that, if there are people out there, that deal with self-confidence or being really shy. As much as Lawrence and I have been doing with hosting and being on these live streams and everything, I can still say that nearly every time I hop on one, I'm like, if you wanted to check my heart rate on my phone, you would see it. Like, it goes up. It's definitely something that kind of still is always there. But maybe if it went away, maybe you shouldn't be doing it anymore. I don't know. Like, that's,
I totally agree. I absolutely love that. It doesn't matter how long you're doing it. Same thing. Like, for me, I can only speak through my experience, and hopefully it applies to you all. But it doesn't matter how many years I've done this, how many years of, like, going to work, learning the lines. That first day or that first step, there's still that, like you say, if I had a watch on, my heart would be
Yep.
going. And you want that amazing. This means,
Mhm.
wow, I'm present in the moment. I'm scared shitless, but this is great.
Mhm.
And then, you know what? Sometimes it's not so great. Sometimes you fuck up. Excuse my language if that
Yeah.
offends anybody, but sometimes we fuck up. We go, damn it. But
Mhm.
it doesn't mean everything stops. It doesn't mean that it's over. It just means, oh, I'm going to try that again. I kind of like the part of it, but maybe if I do this, do you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's not being, we are our own worst critic. Why do we feel we need to assess ourselves? Just, and again, I can hear, I don't know if it's my guides or somebody in the, I can hear this voices coming in saying, yeah, but that's easy to say because it's, where did they go? They just went away now. There's too much noise now.
Mm.
Hang on.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So it's like but what they're saying is that's easy to say. Somebody in our group here is going, yeah, you can say that, but I don't want that. I don't want to. What if I don't get that second chance? What if again, the what ifs are coming in. So I wish somebody could tell me what they would. Okay. I'm challenging. Just somebody put into a comment if you can. What if, okay, let's say you've got a big job interview and you've prepared. What if, I want to know what is the worst thing that you think can happen? What is the worst thing you think can happen?
Yeah, if we give some folks time to put into the comments, I do have a thought on this. There's a thought that took me 8 years to actually come to conclusion. It was quite interesting. So 8 years ago, well, I guess at the point 10 years ago, it's kind of like what we were talking about at the start of this, right? Where only this moment right now kind of, matters. And, I had this thought of, you hear like in 3 generations from now, people might not remember you. I oftentimes ask myself, what is legacy? A lot of people talk about legacy and, they want to be incredibly rich or famous. And I want this legacy. And I always thought about William Shakespeare and 450 years ago, he's sort of the only person I remember. And sometimes I ask myself, am I going to be the William Shakespeare of our generation? And probably not. I'm not that person, which kind of means I might not be remembered in 450 years from now, other than my name on a plastic credit card. And I used to think about that and thinking, oh, then if people don't remember me, does it matter? And I was telling my friend of this. We were at Oxford together, and I was telling him this. And he said, oh, what do we do? Does that mean like we shouldn't do anything? And I said, let me get back to you. And it took me 8 years. And I messaged him. And I said, actually, what I've realized is that it doesn't matter what failures we make. People won't remember them either. So we might as well go out and try anything we find a little bit scary, anything we've always wanted to do. If you wanted to write that book or you want to start that company, they won't remember anyway. So you might as well try everything you possibly can that you've ever wanted to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is so bang on. If I can just add on to that, it's true. They're not. We just go. This goes.
Yeah.
So it's not about remembering, but we also have to remember the energy of who we are. Our soul. We're here. We're all here for a reason. And again, I'm not getting into anything religious. I'm not speaking. I'm speaking in a general term here for everybody. But we are energy. But so remember that with energy, there's an imprint. So they may not remember Lawrence or Christina, Rebecca, Teryl, but somewhere down the chain, there may be an imprint. So somebody you have touched who then has a child, and that person touches that person, and it's a chain. It's a chain of imprints. So it comes back to the circle of we are all one. And this body and this name that we have may have not be remembered in this form, but I guarantee you some part of our essence will be.
Yeah. And I think even when you think about legacy, then maybe legacy is now, because what you do now and helping each other and being kind to each other and supporting each other, the four of us are the people who will remember right now, and the 100 people,
Bang on.
watching, hopefully will take something away from it right now as well.
This is something.
Bang on.
Yeah, sorry.
So-
go ahead.
No. And then there's some really good responses to Teryl's thing, but something I think about on that note, Lawrence, that I've really held practice to, because I think of it like a pebble effect in the water, the ripple effect. And I always tell myself, what pond do I want to be rippling in? If I'm going to be a pebble and ripple in a pond, where is that? Is my energy going to be over here in this like encouragement and support advocacy space of life? Am I going to ripple and pond like there? Or am I going over here in this self-deprecating kind of negative space? And that's like how I kind of bring my intention to right space, but in that same kind of concept, because what you do has impact over time, whether we like it or not, it does. And that's just triggered me to think about that, about what pond do I want to be rippling in, or what ocean, or what way, what is it? So my one action, is it going in am I in the right space, or do I need to reroute myself somewhere else? But anyway, that just brought that up. But there are some really great responses, Teryl, to what you were saying.
Your what ifs here. I'll pop the things up.
How do I? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here's one. I get kicked out and leave crying. That's a what if.
Yep.
We've got the worst thing that could happen is something that actually happened to me. I got sick in front of the panel.
Oh no.
I have to. Okay, I want to. So Hermione, so you got sick in front of the panel. Are you talking? You actually threw up? I guess I can't answer back right away.
I'll answer it in a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
But you know what? Even if you did, you know what? The first thing I think of is they're going to remember me. They're going to remember Hermione by. It's brilliant. She goes, yes, or he or she said, yes, I did. They said, yes, I did. I love it. I love that.
I like that. I like that mindset. The memorable. At least you'll be memorable. I love it.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward one. I just don't get the job if a job interview. You know, the what if. That's straightforward, but very, very, realistic. Again, don't get the job. Move on to a new application.
Yeah.
Stephanie says you embarrass yourself trying to answer their questions. And says, I'm not the best speaker when I'm on the spot.
I've done that. Stephanie, it's okay. It's okay. I'll give you a little example. I can't remember what the situation was, but my friends do remind me. It was something about being like a repeat offender. It's basically what I was trying to get out. And there was like a group of people. And for some reason, I couldn't get those words out, Stephanie. And I went, I'm a chronic comer. And everybody just went like that. And then I stood there, right? I turned as red as Rebecca's getting. I went, no, I'm a chronic comer. And then there was this moment, and I went, I don't think that came out the way I wanted it to.
No, it came out exactly the way.
Perfectly.
Yeah, that's the way you need it.
Everybody howled. Like there was so much laughter. I don't blush ordinarily. It takes a lot for me to blush. And I was so red. And then I couldn't stop laughing. But guess what, Stephanie? The message didn't get across, but if those people see me, they go, chronic comer, how are ya? There's that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, that's me. That's gonna be my next cup. I'm just gonna say chronic comer on our next one. Sorry if anybody is offended.
If you make that cup, I think we would all order it.
Yes,
100%.
I think
in the merch store right now.
Yeah, we can put it in our merch
store. We have to do it. If we do it again, you guys, if we do it again with the four of us, we have to have a T-shirt, or we have to have the chronic summer cup deal.
100% deal.
Yes,
I love it so much.
Oh yeah, we are a safe space for all that, Diley. That is so funny. I love it so much. I need that so much.
Stephanie did reply to you. There you go.
Oh my God! Exactly.
Oh, that's hysterical. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know how. You got to roll with that. That's amazing.
You gotta.
Perfect.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Whew.
Wow.
Oh gosh,
Um,
that's funny. Oh, Courtney
That's so
Oswald says,
funny.
I want one. I think, guys, seriously, we need to make these cups
Mhm.
because everybody's, I think seriously, next
Yeah.
merch for sure.
Yeah,
Done.
it's happening.
Yeah.
it's happening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
Lawrence
Yeah,
is already
for sure.
making
we
notes.
can
Yeah.
make that happen. Yeah, just give us 45 minutes. We'll fix
45
that.
minutes max.
It'll be ready.
Uh,
Oh yes.
Oh
I-
dear. Yeah.
Whew. That was a good. We did
It's
like.
kind of like where to
Oof.
go from that moment. But I would like actually the next part of this conversation is probably going to be more with Lawrence and Christina because it's all about parenthood stuff.
Mm.
And I would
Okay.
love for you all to have that kind of conversation. What I will say is it true that you were like around 46 when your daughter was born?
What? What number? What
No.
numbers? Are we
No.
talking numbers? No.
No.
I was 16.
Right. Mhm.
Yes, I was. And I say this for absolutely,
Yeah.
because I'm all about just being who we are and that number is simply a number. But do you want me to tell the story how that happened? Was I
Yeah,
telling you guys
here,
yesterday?
Sure. Yeah.
let me set this up, or the reason I'm asking you to talk about this is I find it incredibly inspiring to hear and see that, and we're seeing it more and more. Older
Mhm.
women, not older, not old, but older. Let's put
Oh,
it
that's
that way.
right. Yeah.
Because I'm getting close to 46, and I'm not considering myself old. But it's wonderful to hear because it feels like so much more these days. There's no longer a choice between like trying to get my career off the ground and trying to be a mom or a parent or this and that. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get into this conversation with you.
Mhm.
I'm so glad you brought it up. I love that,
Mhm.
Rebecca. Yes, as for those of you who are with us today, we were just doing a little check-in yesterday, and it ended up going to this fabulous place of
Mhm.
discussion, and we're like, oh my gosh, we got to save some of that for our for everybody tomorrow. So there is such a stigma about that, right? That we
Mhm.
put a number on it
Mhm.
because, the medical profession has put a number on it. Things are changing. Things are changing, as we all know. But for me, I never wanted to have kids.
Mm.
I was a very driven person for my career. That's all I wanted. And I have niece and nephew and friends with kids that, I'm Auntie T or Auntie Teryl, whatever. And that was great. I was fulfilled with that. And I was one of those people that if they were like my kids, that
Mhm.
was good. But if I saw other kids, I was always like, oh my God, what if they sneeze on me? I don't want their chocolate fingers. And there'd be tough because it was just not my thing. I was always an animal person. So slowly as we're moving ahead and I'm getting older and I danced, as you all know, that's how I started out in this business as a performer. And I was doing I was still filming, but I was also helping out a friend of mine in her dance studio teaching. And she got pregnant. And so she was just starting to show. And I was looking at her, and all my friends had gone through it as well. But I remember looking and going, wow, isn't that cool? And it was one night. I didn't tell you this story, did I, last night? Yesterday?
No.
No, I don't think so. I really hope I'm sharing this so that you'll all understand. So, and again, it also reflects on not just the ability for the body to procreate at any age, but also the ability of manifestation and how what we put out there in energy, it's magical, or God-given, whatever your choice. So I was standing in the bathrooms by myself, who had finished teaching, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I was sticking, sideways, sticking my belly out, and I was rubbing my tummy, and I was going, "Oh wow, I'll never get to experience what that's like, having that life grow inside of me." Wow, because I was getting older, and I'm covered in goosebumps again, and I was feeling that, and then I remember I went to my breasts, and I went, "Oh, I wonder what it's like, when a woman when the milk comes in, I'm never going to be able to experience what that feels like." And then, I'm going to start to cry. Can you? And then I was looking in the mirror and I said to myself, wow, I'm never going to hear somebody call me mom.
Mm.
And I got emotional and I went, oh, well, you know what, Teryl? Good thing I brought these. You know what, Teryl? You chose a career and you are so happy. And I am. I was horrendously happy. But there was that moment of feeling my body, feeling mortality, as it were, feeling a what if, let's say, right? Like carrying on with our discussion, our thread. And we all know I'm a bit of a drama queen. And a while later, I wasn't feeling well. I thought, oh, I remember saying to my grandmother, gosh, everything's changing. I wonder if I'm going through menopause. Do you think it's menopause? And my grandmother is, well, it's young for it. But yeah, man, that's how she talked. Maybe you are. But I was feeling sick. I wasn't feeling well. And I was like, oh my God, what if there's something really wrong? What is going on? I better go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor for tests. And my doctor said, well, no, everything is wonderful, Teryl, but you're pregnant. And I went, there was that moment. I went, what? And, because knowing my age, I was 46, the doctor's like, do we want to look about what you're looking at? Like they were thinking almost, do I need to consider terminating? Like it was just, it was a thing that I don't know what they meant, but that's how I took it. And I just went, no. There is a reason this is happening. God has made, this is a decision, universe, whatever. There's a reason. And no, I'm seeing this through. And I will never forget that. And I have to tell you another funny story, and then we'll go on about this discussion. My grandmother was a lot older. Everybody knows I'm raised by my grandmother. So she was quite old. So her form of speech is certainly not politically correct whatsoever. And she lived about an hour away from me, and I picked her up. She was coming in for the day, and I knew I had to tell her. So we were driving, and I said, Granny, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to know before I talk to you that my mind is completely made up. So all I want you to do is just support me, that my decision is made, but I really want you to support my decision on this, okay? And she was thinking, what the hell it was. I think she was eating cheesies in the car. Like she loved her cheese. She goes, oh, all right. And she was so, her way. And I said, well, I'm pregnant. So she's older, much, much older. And she's eating her cheesies. And she went, you're what? I said, I'm pregnant. And she's eating the cheesies. Well, you can't have a baby at your age. It's going to be retarded. It's going to be a retard. She used that word. And I went, first of all, you don't say that word. And second of all, I don't even want to speak to you right now. I am not speaking to you right now. And so we kept driving in complete silence. And then something broke, and I realized she didn't know how to deal with it. So she went to that place because she was beyond thrilled. And she cried and said, but your age. I said, Granny, it's a different time than when you were growing up. It's going to be okay. And lo and behold, I had an amazing pregnancy. I had the morning sickness. I had all of that. I delivered a beautiful, healthy, happy child who is now 15 and driving me crazy with hormones. and things like you can say to her, honey, come on, you're going to be late. Then I get the, what? I know. Like the extended. And I love and embrace every second of it. So my point being, if there's any part of you, my birthing was fantastic. It's not to say it doesn't matter what age you're at. You can be a young person and you can have difficulty in the child. You don't know what's going to happen. But if your desire to have a child is there or not, and you do want to have it, go for it. And if you're not able, we had this conversation, if your vessel is not in a place where it can deliver or carry a child, there's other ways to still be a parent, if you're wanting to in some way have that side of you. And as we've said, there's so many different ways. Don't let anything get in your way if the desire is so strong for you. I
Mhm.
didn't have that desire, but obviously in a subconscious level or for whatever reason, there was a part of me that voiced aloud, and it must have been so strong that it was heard that I
Mm.
blessed. It's a complete blessing. I
Wow.
told her, I said, Lund, I was going to name you Miracle. She goes, oh, God, Mom, thank God. You didn't." I was going to call her Miracle.
Mm.
Miracle.
Oh, I've got
It was a
chills.
long tangent there. Sorry about that one, guys.
Oh, it's a beautiful story that hits more notes than I think you may have realized or intended. But Lawrence, I think this is a good. We were talking about this yesterday on this topic, and just kind of want to sit back and like continue that dialogue around what that means of when you're in that position, and then for you in your situation and kind of what's going on there.
Yeah. Happy to, kind of talk about it. I've been married with my wife. Well, I've been with my wife for a long time, nearly 10 years. And yeah, I remember when we first met, we've always had this idea of like having like a really big family. We were thinking, oh, let's like have 2 kids and maybe we'll adopt 2 kids. And, I always thought it'd be wonderful to be able to maybe adopt kids from like, other countries and things like that. Like we're pretty agnostic with all of that. Um, and, we haven't really talked about it in a really long time. And relatively recently, in the last few years, my wife was saying, um, I realized I said I wanted to have kids and I've always wanted to be a mom, but I don't know if I really believed that. And it wasn't until we rescued um, our dog from Romania that kind of mothering instincts kicked in. And I really want to be a mom. And then we started going through the tests and going through the process, and all of a sudden her various levels were low, and so we started going through this IVF process, and it's ongoing and unfortunately very expensive and many failed cycles. Yeah, and it was about this month, really, 3 weeks ago, maybe, we made the decision, why don't we think about egg donors and egg donations? And it did really create this like huge, almost like weight off your shoulder, maybe. I don't know. Something, there was happening. But actually, as I was listening to what Teryl was just saying now, as well, is adding to the conversation, because we had that, is I've always been pretty early and fast at things. I think and what I mean by that is, I used to play music and I practiced really hard and um, achieved a pretty decent level of success. I was a trombone player at the Sydney 2000 Olympics, if you can believe.
Nice.
Like at the opening ceremonies, yeah, which is a long time ago, 24 years ago now, thinking about it. And a computer science degree. I go to Oxford. I get this master's degree. I win these awards as a younger, advertising executive, and it's always been pretty fast. But for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I've always thought like, when I get to this point, when I start this company, if the company raises this amount of money, if we hit this milestone, then I'll start thinking about getting married, and then I'll start thinking about having kids. And it's this really weird thing where you can't really control a lot of those things. And so somehow, like in my kind of late 20s, early 30s, I started delaying just a lot of big life choices. And I think over time I've sort of, to realize, at least for myself even more, life kind of happens and it kind of moves, and things aren't very linear, and then yeah, things aren't always in your control, I guess. And maybe when you are ready, all of a sudden something else happens, like with us and kids. So that's been really interesting, and we'll see how it evolves, and our journey. We're still on the journey now. Yeah.
something that we talked about a little bit yesterday, and like hearing all of that in all that space where you have all this success. I think this is adding to this conversation that we're kind of come full circle on, is along the way you've got to mentally process. You're in this space where you're finding success, you're finding that, but when you have to force yourself to stop or slow and it's kind of hitting that wall, what we were kind of talking about, and I'd like to open the floor if you're okay, and we can redirect if not, but the resources, when we talk about anyone who is a birthing person that's going through those processes, there's a ton. I have my own struggles, and for those who have been before, and Teryl for the first time, I ended up having a hysterectomy a few years ago because I'm not able to safely be a vessel anymore, and that was a decision in grief moment. But there's resources. There's resources for those who are going through that. But when there's an appendage, that a person who's supporting, and you really like I was stayed with me last night thinking about the lack of resources that were available for you in those spaces and in that mental. And I was just wondering if maybe we could talk about that a little bit from the partnered perspective to someone who's going through that, but recognizing there's a lack of additional layer for that person to handle their grief and handle their space.
Yeah, it's interesting because so like as a founder, as a Silicon Valley invested in VC backed startup founder, you are really good at, oh, huge problem. Oh, we're not going to make payroll. Oh, how do you find an investor? Oh, this person doesn't let you know. And every month you're like solving these kind of big problems. This is one problem that you can't solve at all. There's not even really anything you can even help with. As long as you're taking your vitamins, it's not really a lot you could do. And the thing that's kind of strange. So yeah, for the first time kind of in your life, you don't actually have any control over the win or the success. There's actually nothing I could do. And then the other side of it that's kind of weird is that I know, like, I'm literally the person injecting the hormones and injecting the needles into my wife. And so even if you start to feel guilty, or even if you start to feel like, oh, it's not really fair, you definitely go to the place of like, yeah, but literally physically, it's not me. I'm not getting these injections. I'm not going through these hormonal changes. I'm not the one having to go to work and then like, something at work happens and she's got to figure out a way to calm herself, or she's down and she got to act like she's up. I've got it pretty easy, I just 8 p.m. injection time, so you kind of feel a little bit like bad or guilt. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe how you could feel about it, because I don't know if I even feel bad, but I do know whenever someone would ask me about it, I would say, oh, to be honest, it's a lot easier for me than it is for her. But you do go through similar kind of like processes. I remember the first time we were going through an IVF cycle, you start like the moment we think there's a chance, there's follicle growth. I was saying to my wife, Sarah, I was like, we should call her like Ivy, like IVF. Like that's the way we should like call her. Oh, it's kind of an Asian name and kind of a Western name at the same time. Like, oh, that's good. That's quite interesting. And you kind of go through these thoughts, and then I start thinking, thank goodness I went to Oxford. They'll have a better chance of going to Oxford. This is gonna be great. Like, you go through the whole thing. You go through their entire life. And then that afternoon it doesn't work out, and you're sort of like left hanging, in that hospital room. It is a very torturous, by the way, like moment in that room, because she goes down, you're in the room together, and she goes down to, get the operation. And he comes back up, and the doctor kind of explains to you the science, etc. And then they say, as long as you don't get a phone call, everything is okay. And that's like the worst thing. So the whole afternoon, we're just hoping the phone doesn't ring. I'm having meetings with Rebecca and Tommy. I'm just like hoping, oh, please do not ring. And then you get your phone rings. It's like, I don't even have to pick it up. I already know what it means. Yeah. And so, yeah, when we're talking about the resources, it's interesting. After the 6th cycle that kind of failed, I thought maybe I should explore maybe grief. It is, I guess, grief.
Yeah.
And if you search on YouTube, I can't remember what I searched, like men grieving over IVF or something like that, or what happens, in fact, I was really trying to understand as well, Sarah, and I guess what she's going through. And when it comes to IVF, it is very, it's very salesy. They don't really talk about it. And yet, like at what point does it count that there is grief or death or loss? And so I had to kind of go through the, let's call it, pregnancy failure journey of then, oh, does it count if it's like egg donor failure? Is it, you get to a point and I ended up having to listen to podcasts and watch videos on men dealing with miscarriages. And that was kind of the first kind of, resource I could start going, okay, there are people that kind of talk about this. And, yeah, so it's quite, yeah, I guess something I never really thought about until you kind of go through it. And then all of a sudden you're faced with this, you're faced with this situation.
So are you saying then that there really isn't all that much available to, say, the other party, the person who is not the vessel, the other one? You're not able to find anyone who can help talk you through that?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly always go through therapy. Some hospitals and clinics might offer it. Oftentimes it might be couples therapy. I think it just really depends. And there certainly isn't a support network or anything. I think for women, it certainly, has something slightly better. But then I think it's also just working through your own emotions, I guess. Like, do I feel grief or not? That's the other thing that's kind of interesting. People tell you you're feeling grief, and it's like, oh, am I?
But what was really strong and interesting, Lawrence, is that you used the word failure.
Yeah.
It's not a failure. It's not a failure. Again, it goes back again full circle to earlier in the conversation. We automatically think, I failed. It failed. It's not about the failure, which adds on to that grief. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have both parties going, we can't even do this right. Because I've heard that, not from you, but I've heard it through other
That's
people.
the number
saying,
one thing that happens.
We can't even do this right.
Yeah, like Sarah, I think sometimes, and it's really not fair, and I don't think we hopefully don't put the pressure onto her. Early on in the process, it was like, oh, your mom must be so mad at me. And, and I was like, and my mom really isn't like that kind of person. She's not trying to be a grandmother. It's not that kind of person. And so I promise you, we are not trying to put that. So please, don't think about it like that. But no matter what, it's a very simple job. The way she describes it, that women should be able to do is like have a kid. And especially, I think when she's being pumped full of hormones, she kind of starts to go to those thoughts. And sorry, that's she's baking bread right now, I think, and so
You're good.
the alarm keeps going off. Sorry about that.
No, don't read.
Yes, it's loud. Yeah, it's
All
going
good.
off. It's going
All
off, Sarah,
good.
and it's pretty loud.
It's okay, Sarah. We want some though too.
Yeah, you gotta get that to
Becoming
all.
a professional baker, people at work are literally trying to pay for her bread. So I think that's what she's.
Wow, that's gotta be
no.
good bread then.
Yummy.
Yeah.
That's the next merchandise. Yeah, we'll add that as
Yes.
well.
But yeah, no, she feels like, oh, this is the part. I mean, we'll get graphic here. This is the sad part. It's like when they were testing my semen, like I got like super sperm. It was like I can't remember what the thing is, and I'm still taking these super sperm like medicine every single day, or not medicine, vitamins every single day. And so she kind of feels like, hey, I'm letting my side, down. And it's like, it's not that
No.
you're
No.
not letting
No.
anyone down. We're,
No,
we're a team.
Yep.
you are. And
That's exactly it.
if I may add a layer to it, but I'll keep it super brief. But as someone who struggled with a mentality similar to Sarah's,
Yeah.
and I want to create autonomy. She's not like here, but I feel like my story and a proximity, this is like from my perspective, someone who, from what it sounds like, has gone through similar ownership of, again, that feel of failure, that feel of inadequacy, and realizing that we are not our bodies and our bodies are not us is where I had to get to, in a place where sometimes we work with what we have that is not always perfect against this system that's like this baseline. We have a variation of that. And I was very thankful to have my daughter, but that was a very complicated and bumpy ride, very bulleted. I got severely sick, had her at 5.5 months. She was 1 pound, 8 ounces at birth. She was on oxygen for years. She's actually, like, there's been a whole process, but through that, I learned my own humanity in that space and my own lack of control. That, again, that's where I felt like such a failure. Like I did something wrong because she came out so complex and so hurt. And it's taken so much time to realize that it was out of my control. What I could control was how I responded from that point forward. And we've had a beautiful life ever since that point. But that feeling, because after the fact, I was told I should never try again. I would only cause harm. It would never go well. And it took me 10 years to release that. And I dealt with pain. I dealt with my body fighting itself. I was severely sick and was essentially like my body was killing itself unless I removed everything. And that led me to a few years ago doing the decision to say, because I didn't know who I was without that vessel. I didn't know who I was if I wasn't a birthing person. I still was holding on to that. And I released it and said, I was lucky I got a little sliver in there, but I was never meant to be a birthing person. I got real lucky in this one space. And that grieving of letting go, that permanency of never again, like there's not a chance. There's no way. I can't go back. No take backs. And so big hugs to Sarah in that space, because I know that's a journey that only one can fight themselves. But we are not our bodies and our bodies are not us. We might connect with them, but we are not, they're not always intertwined. So we're just sharing in that space for anyone else who might be going through that space, like, and whether it's any other illness, like, that grief of, we cannot control what happens to us. We can directionally take care of and nurture, but sometimes shit happens. Sometimes shit just gets really fucked up and you can't do more than that other than just respond to it. And again, back to the full circle, it was like to be present, your mug, here we fucking go again. Like, good morning. Like we just, it all at the end of the day, wipe it slate clean and here we fucking go again. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
But big hugs to Sarah, Lawrence, and to you too in that space, and Teryl. But that's the process around parenthood is beautiful and complex and painful all together. And
there's a lot of lovely comments going on right now. So lots of hugs from everybody to everybody that is shared. Pretty amazing. I cannot believe it's been an hour.
it has been. Wow.
That is
Already?
wild. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I do have a few final things for you though before we wrap up here, including a question that I have for you from a previous guest of ours. We have a tradition where we get the current guest to ask the next guest that we have a question, and they won't know who the next guest is. So we will also, after you answer your question, I'm going to ask you to ask a question. But I will play yours for you first. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
If you could change one habit, that you do, not even a physical habit necessarily, but a mental habit that you fall into? What-
Mm.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
It's always there. It's always there. It doesn't matter what I do. There's always that self-doubt. Literally, to the point of, will I get there faster if I turn left here? Like, not just it's again when I go, this is the moment I have. What do I need to do? Where am I going? Doing it. And it doesn't matter every single take, for instance, in a shoot. Oh, was that one okay? I want to do one more because I want to add this little flair in. Or what about this side of it? There's always going to be that self-doubt. So self-doubt to me is not harmful in the sense that if we strive to do or be a better version of ourselves, then hey, that's fantastic. It's trusting that it's for betterment, not to condemn what just was. Does that make sense, or is that kind of wordy? Do you know what I mean?
No,
Let go
wordy.
of
Yeah.
that moment that before was this thought. Oh, I didn't turn left, but hey, look what I got to. Oh, I didn't know that house existed. I love that. Taking, again, being in the moment and using it to be wherever it is you're going to be, because that's, again, we go back to all we have is this moment. But self-doubt would definitely be the question.
Wonderful. I love
Or the answer.
bringing it all the way back to like the first sentiment that we had at the very beginning as well. Nice.
Yeah.
Teryl,
Yeah.
if you could think of a question that you could ask somebody, you don't know who it's going to be, what would it be?
Let's also bring it back to when we were talking about legacy earlier and being remembered. So my question would be, if there's anything that you can contribute, to this lifetime and where we're at right now, what would that be to you? What would it mean to you? Maybe it's better. Maybe it's a better loaf of bread, Lawrence.
It's
Who knows, right?
she bakes some pretty incredible bread already.
Maybe adding cinnamon, like what, you know what I'm saying? It can be anything.
Yeah.
What would it be? Yeah.
I love it. Well, we have come to the end of our time here. Thank you, Teryl, for continuing this important conversation with us.
Thank you. I'm so glad you offer this up. This is so needed. It is so needed. It's such a beautiful platform. So thank you.
I feel like
all of
we've
you.
barely scratched the surface on anything. So please
Yeah,
come
nothing
back
we had
and talk
planned
to us.
is
Yeah.
to have talked about.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
We would
I
love
would
to
love
talk
it.
to you more. So yeah, the whole outline. I think I got 2 questions out of the whole outline. So that's great though. That's great. I love it when that happens. If you are attending the meditation class, it will be starting shortly after we wrap up here. So as soon as this stream ends, head on over to the link that I sent you. Give us a few minutes to all get over there and get settled, and then we'll start bringing everybody in. If you're not going to the meditation class, you can still join us over there for social hour with Lawrence and Christina. And for your link, technically, if you're in the meditation class, you can go to this same link if I can find it. I thought I put it somewhere. There it is. go.thecompanion.app/getsocial. It also should be in the video description of this video. But if you go to go.thecompanion.app/getsocial, head on over there for social hour and the meditation class. Reminder, if you are feeling a certain way, especially after this conversation, we said it at the beginning. I want to say it one more time at the end as well. Please, if you are in crisis, if you need any help, and you don't know where to go for those resources, we have a page up on our website. So thecompanion.app/mental health. A lot of links to a lot of different places to try to get you some resources if you need them. All right. So those are my announcements. But everybody that's here, everybody that's out there, we do have a major announcement. And I'm going to kick it over to Lawrence to get us going on that announcement.
Yeah. Well, So over the last 2 years or so, we've had this internal mission that we've never really shared publicly. And a lot of our members are saying, why don't you share it publicly? I'd love to know what the companion stands for. And we've always had this one kind of, mission, or this feeling that, ever since the pandemic and really just a lot that's happened over the last several years, is that the world is becoming, lonelier and lonelier. And so we've had this internal mission to try and create 1 million life-changing memories for 1 million fans. And that's always kind of been our really big, ambitious goal. And that's why embracing mental health, the fandom, has been a huge part of that. But it's been everything else that we've been doing, over the last year, 18 months. And since the first Embracing Mental Health as a fandom event, we've been asking for stories, and they've been getting more and more wonderful, deeper and deeper, lovelier and lovelier. Some of them 17 pages long.
Yep.
Which I have read.
Absolutely impossible to share all of them, or even all of some of them. If you've sent them in and I've shared them, some of them had to be edited to fit on the screen. Even, so
yeah. And one of the things that consistently resonate, people say it in the chats, we've kind of talked about it, is I didn't realize other people felt the same way. I think a lot of people feel alone if they're going through something, and hopefully, well, thank you for even allowing me to share like my story openly with everyone. And so Amanda and we have been brainstorming, how do we reach more people, and how do we do it more frequently than every 3 months? And having wonderful people like Teryl in is part of that, so we can, speed that up or have it more frequently. But another way is that we've decided that one of the best ways to do that is our next major project, which is Amanda Tapping's Embracing Mental Health as a Fandom, the book. That's right. We will be creating a book. And this is going to be a unique book of curated themed chapters of different areas of mental health, self-confidence, and self-development. Each chapter is going to begin with Amanda's story or thought, and then it's going to be followed by stories that are crowdsourced by fans from you, the community. All right. So in June, we'll start to ask for letters, photos, emails, and stories, and we'll collect them over several months as we kind of compile this book. And so we hope that this is what the fandom and the community and the members have been looking for, and we have plans to include tools and strategies for self-development and self-confidence and mental health as all part of this campaign. And but we're going to need your help if we're going to reach 1 million fans, and there's kind of 10,000 companion members right now, so we're a little bit of ways off, but we're going to need your help. So Rebecca, I think you have this website ready to go.
I have, yes. I could share what the website looks like.
Share the website
and the link as well.
And the link. So, sign up, and if you can, look, to help us get to 1 million fans, go tell 3 friends right now to sign up. It's absolutely free. You sign up. There's no pressure for you to share a story or anything like that. It's just to get notified when it launches, and you can follow the journey. And if you're ever curious about how do you publish a book, we will be going on that journey with you. Yeah. The goal is to actually launch this thing in May, this kind of crowdfunding campaign. And so yeah, we got a little bit of time before then. So please invite any fan, anyone who's into fandom, not into fandom, but thinks about mental health and self-care and wellness. So yeah, that's it. That was the announcement.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. We're doing a book.
Rebecca, you got any like applause sound effects?
Do I still have them loaded in? I may. Hold on.
Give me an applause sound effect if we got that.
Hold on.
Give us some cheers.
A big applause.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep going for a while.
Turn it off.
We're gonna turn it off. Yeah.
Turn it off. My sensory.
That's it, everyone. So please, I'm going to keep this link. It'll also be in this like outro that I'm about to play for you. Go to amandatappingbook.org. We wanted to make it very easy for you to remember. So amandatappingbook.org and share it with your friends. Again, come on over to Social Hour meditation class starting soon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you everybody out there for coming to these. It's always an immense honor and pleasure to be able to put these on.
Big
Oh
thanks
gosh,
to Teryl.
thank you
Yeah.
all.
Oh,
Thank
this
you.
has been amazing.
Please come see us next time. And we'll see you hopefully in the Social Hour here real soon.
Yeah, cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye.